Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
Yes, indeed you have. Hello and welcome in to Talking Technology with VI Labs, episode number 49. We are one away from the big 50, folks. We'll have to do something special for number 50. It is right around the corner, just 2 weeks away. How exciting is that? But hope you're well. Hope you've been managing okay with all the crazy weather that we've been having here in Ireland. Storm Isha has been fairly chaotic, I think it's fair to say. It's been kind of mental. Many people without power, but hopefully you're doing okay. Hopefully it's going okay, and hopefully we can entertain you with some technology content over the next hour or so. We have loads on the show today. We're going to be talking all about the BT Young Scientist exhibition. We sent JP over to the RDS there last week to tell us all about some of the really cool stuff. There's always so much cool stuff at the BT Young Scientist, so we'll be talking to JP about that later on, and we'll be hearing from one of the visually impaired people who was at the event and demoing a really, really cool product. We'll be looking at that later on too. We'll also have quick picks and tech news as well. That's all on the show coming up later on. So a really exciting show ahead. But first, I need to address something with Mr. Joe Lonigan here, because Joe has been talking for quite a while about a rabbit, right? And I was like, what? Why? And Joe was asking me, would you not get a rabbit? Would you not get a rabbit? So I was like, what are you on about now, Joe? But I have decided in all of my wisdom to get a rabbit. And I am delighted to share that my rabbit is here. I'll just pick him up here. Let me try and grab this rabbit. And here he is. I'll hold him close to the microphone so maybe you'll be able to hear him somewhat. But Joe, why have I got a rabbit here? What's the whole purpose of this rabbit, Joe?
Well, David, that wasn't quite the rabbit I was expecting you to have, and that wasn't what I was exactly talking about.
So but,
I think you're a bit confused. The rabbit I was talking about was the Rabbit R1.
Here. The Rabbit R1. Tell me what's the... So I have a rabbit now, and he's messing up the office here, Joe. I hope the Rabbit R1 doesn't make such a mess. What is the Rabbit R1, Joe? Do you want
I think that rabbit you have is quite intelligent, but it's time to put him back in his pen, because this one is even more intelligent.
Oh, wow.
The Rabbit R1, we're talking about the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show that was on last week. There was one product that made a lot of noise. It was the Rabbit R1. And the Rabbit R1 is a small electronic device that you can put in your pocket, and it takes advantage of OpenAI software. It's a large action model, they call it, a bit like the large language model that's built into smart speakers and stuff, except this is an action model. So an action model means you can press a button on the screen and make it do an action that you train it to do, such as maybe they gave an example of a graphic designer removing a watermark from a PDF document or from hundreds of pages. So you can teach it how to do that. Press a button and it removes all them 100 watermarks all at once. Or they also claim it can order your groceries or order an Uber, a taxi, or send emails, or
they can basically learn what you do. It seems, isn't it? That I think some of the examples that they gave even were like things like those monotonous tasks. That it's the same thing you're doing every day, like clocking in and so on, like to work or whatever. I don't know whether that will be legal to clock in using your rabbit. Get your rabbit to clock in for you, but
yeah, well, this rabbit, you can save your passwords onto this rabbit and authenticate all your key passes and all that stuff. So it makes it really easy. Yeah, so this rabbit is special, and it's supposed to be able to save lots of data so that it'll make life easier for you going forward. So as you said, clock into work, or logging into all those different accounts you may have, it's supposed to make them tasks really, really easy. So that's the idea of this device, to make things easy going forward, and like a little companion in your pocket. And just to describe what it looks like, I know people used to salivate over those Argos catalogues back in the 90s, and there was little Casio pocket TVs in them. It's supposed to look like that. And there's a 360-degree camera on the top, so that might give it more possibilities for people with vision impairments going forward. Hopefully you'll be able to take a panoramic view of the area around you, and the Rabbit R1 might have potential to tell us what's in a room or describe a room to us. What do you think, David?
I think that's so cool. I'll be honest, like, I think that's really cool. Whether I would use something, Joe, like, you know, a Rabbit R1 for like some of its advanced features, like there is a part of me that feels that could this not just be a phone, but the concept of it does sound really, really appealing. But what's also kind of appealing to me, Joe, about this is its price, actually. And compared to like usually smart gadgets like this, similar functionality to phones and so on, like you're talking hundreds of euros or dollars, and you're talking that here too, but it's $200 approximately, which in the scheme of things, considering if it's able to do all that it says it's going to be able to do on paper, that might not actually be insane for what it can do.
Yeah, $200 sounds very reasonable, and I think that's half the reason it sold 10,000 units on its first day of release. And it also sold 10 pre-order units that are not coming out until spring. So, yeah, $200, I suppose. Look, that's half the price of most lower level smartphones. So, it's not, but it's still not a phone. But the man or the CEO that came out with a statement. The Rabbit R1 CEO came out with a statement to say he can foresee this replacing smartphones in the future. We won't go that far yet, but that was a statement that he came out with at the show, and I can see what he means, because there is a SIM card slot in the R1, and it can do a lot of tasks that your smartphone can do at the touch of the screen, you know, and it automates lots of stuff. So I suppose we can see where he's coming from, but I think it has a little bit to go yet before it replaces iPhones or Samsung Galaxies or any of these kind of Android smartphones that people love. But I do see the value that it will bring, especially taking advantage of AI software going forward. People seem to it's really taken off, and people love the fact that AI is automating lots of stuff for them. So I think we'll wait and see. Does it have many accessibility options built in? But if it's going to be a popular product and they want it to take off, they will have to include a screen reader on it if there's not already one on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up. Like, I did notice, I watched a demo of the Rabbit R1 from CNET this morning, actually. And, like, it did talk, but only when it was responding to things. It does have a screen on the front of it. I don't know whether that's a touch screen. I believe it is. But you can access like things like your Spotify and things like that to it, and you can do all of it with voice. There's a little button on the side of it that you can press, and it's like talking to Siri in some regards, but presumably a lot more advanced.
Yeah, you're talking to Chat GPT more than likely instead of Siri. And
then but then you give it like it shows up on the screen. You know, you have your different features. Like it's a kind of a Spotify interface once you're past that. Then. So how accessible that's going to be, I'll be interested to see. I wonder what you'd call a screen reader on a rabbit. There's a brilliant name for that that's not coming to mind right now, but there's got to be a brilliant name for the screen reader on a rabbit, because I love the branding of this, I must say, Joe. It's such a simple thing, but it's an awesome name.
Well, I reckon if it's a rabbit, it's going to be fast, so that'll have to be a good thing. And the fact that it's R1, I presume there's going to be an R2 and R3 and upwards. This is just the first phase of this product in development. So, and as we know with CES, some products don't even make it to market, but this one has already gone to market, so it's definitely got potential.
Yeah, really, really interesting one. I'll have to return this little lad to the pet shop, Joe.
I think with all that confusion, David, I think it's going to have to find a better home.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to find some NCBI or Vision Ireland staff member to just get rid of this thing, I think. Because
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, Joe, what else was happening at CES this year? There was a lot of really cool stuff, and also stuff in particular that might be of interest to people with sight loss.
Yeah, there was lots of stuff. You had all your usual hype things like transparent TVs from LG and flying cars and module cars that you could turn from a car into an SUV and all that kind of stuff. But going on to the accessibility stuff, a lot of ones were not specifically for people with disabilities, but I did bring up some of the things that we could take advantage of, especially things without screens that we could use universally. Like, if you know, a smart speaker doesn't have a screen, so we all love them, you know, we can use them with our voice and stuff. But I suppose one of the things I liked there was it was a health tracking device. There was one health tracking device actually especially for women. It's called the EV ring, and the EV ring is like a ring. You can just a normal ring you can put on your finger, but it tracks your health. So it tracks your menstrual cycles and your sleep, your activity, walking, running, any exercise you do. It also had 4 days of charging, and the charging case you get with it gives you 10 times that amount. So you only charge the charging case once to give you probably 40 days of charging, really, when you think about it. So I thought that was really cool, and it's actually available very soon for something like $260. So for a health tracking device that you put on your finger, I thought that was quite an interesting one.
Reminds me of the I think it was called the Aura ring or the Aura ring, which had a similar concept. I think it wasn't designed specifically for women, and I think the EV ring may have more features. But really cool to see the evolution of things like that. That, you know, you don't necessarily need like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit for tracking all of that information. It's really cool, isn't it?
Exactly, because some people are not into having watches on their arms, and they're not into charging Apple Watches every day or day and a half, that kind of thing. And a ring is a really discreet item, and it looks good. It's rose gold or silver. There's a few different variations you can get, and the price is reasonable enough. So that was one interesting product. Then another thing I seen, some vision impaired people or blind people don't like using touch screens. It's just a fact.
It's a fact of life.
They find them hard to get used to, mightn't have the spatial awareness to get used to touch screens. So there is a new keyboard out there called the Clicks keyboard, and it's like a BlackBerry style keyboard you can attach to an iPhone 14 Pro or an iPhone 15 Pro or a Pro Max or a 15 Pro Max. So it's only available for the more recent iPhones, but it retails around $139, so hopefully it wouldn't retail much more than €200 or in and around that. It's coming out in February. That was one of the top 5 things that came up in most places when we read about CES. It's a nice clicky style keyboard that attaches to your iPhone in a case style, and then it'll give you more room on the screen to see what's on the screen if you can see a little bit. And also it's a tactile keyboard, so people like your tactile buttons. You can type away and get used to this new Click keyboard. I thought that sounded very interesting. I'd love to get my hands on that and see how good it is, especially for the €150, or I'm not sure exactly how much they'll retail it over here, but in and around that kind of price. I'd be very interested to see what that's like. It'd be a good solution for those people that just can't stand the touchscreen element. Some people just don't have the feel for it as well. So
yeah, exactly.
If you have a bit of tactile stuff, I presume it'll have all those shortcut keys on the screen, on the keyboard for doing things like dictate and accessing your home button and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, to see how this kind of like the button is making a comeback in some regards. Even like this is a mainstream product. This isn't necessarily something that's been specifically designed for those who are blind or visually impaired. This is like a mainstream product, but as you said, Joe, it seems to have been everywhere in all of the kind of lists, and it really seems like that concept of like the BlackBerry style phone is coming back in some fashion, because we've seen it even with flip phones, that old style flip phone is coming back, and now we're moving on to bringing back the keyboard, it seems. So we're kind of doing things in reverse order, which is kind of strange to see, but really interesting.
Definitely. I think a lot of things go in a circle like that, David. People like to try out the touchscreen and all that kind of stuff, but then there is certain situations you love to have your clicky keyboard for typing longer messages and stuff like that, and the dictation with Siri and dictate isn't always as successful as we would like. Sometimes you might dictate something and find, damn it, that didn't come out right, I would have been quicker typing it in the first place, this kind of stuff. So yeah, I can see the reasons why it's popular, and it's going to be popular as well. I can see them reasons why. So it is something I think I will purchase one and try it out, because there's loads of occasions that I have a Logitech K380, and to be honest, it's too big to carry in your pocket. So if I don't have a bag with me, at least if I bought a Clix keyboard, it'll fit in my pocket. You know what I mean? So that'll be a good thing going forward as well.
Absolutely. And it does also, in some regards, it does potentially replace stuff like the Hable in some regards. It'll be interesting to see the impact that has on things in the like Braille typing space.
Yeah, for some people it will replace the Hable, and some people just really love their Braille style
and that's well and good too,
accessories, so they'll hold on to the Hable.
Absolutely. Any other cool bits, Joe?
Yeah, if you're into your electric toothbrushes, I know people losing their sight sometimes might have issues putting toothpaste on toothbrushes and all this kind of stuff, or just mightn't like using your general toothbrushes. But the Y brush, it's been around for a few years, but the latest update claims to be able to clean your teeth in 20 seconds. You put your toothpaste on it, you put it inside your mouth, it's in the shape of a Y, and you bite down on it and stay there for 20 seconds. It cleans bottom and top teeth, and it's supposed to be an amazing product. It retails about between $150 and $200 again, and there's actually a version of it available on Amazon at the moment. But I thought that was quite interesting, like for people that had any issues with cleaning teeth, and it's getting a lot of hype, and it's getting a few good reviews as well. The earlier versions weren't getting that good reviews, but this one is getting better reviews. So I think that's an interesting product for people that want to switch to a more automatic style of a toothbrush, or have any issues with putting toothpaste on toothbrushes and things like that. So I thought that was interesting as well, David.
Bit expensive for what it is, in the sense that it's a toothbrush, but I do get the appeal of that. Like I've used like very simple smart toothbrushes in the past, and I do see the appeal in some regard for things like that, and a really innovative product. I don't know, is it something I'd use, but I definitely do see the appeal in it. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I definitely see the appeal. There's lots of people out there that have issues with if people have strokes as well. Unfortunately, some people suffer with strokes and mightn't have be able to use one of their arms and stuff. And automatic things like this, I like to see them coming to the fore, and to give certain people a bigger solution than others. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, it's a brilliant point, and one that I think can sometimes be forgotten is that, it's all well and good to use a regular toothbrush, assuming that's something that you can do.
Exactly.
And I think this kind of solution, yes, it is pricey if you just see it as a toothbrush in isolation, but if it's something that is an enabler for you, then that changes its value proposition. And I think that's a very important distinction to make, for sure.
Exactly, David. I suppose other products then, moving on. We're smart glasses and virtual reality glasses, and they were a big team at the CES show this year. One Romanian startup that made a lot of noise. I suppose they made a lot of noise because they're making big claims. They did say things like these smart glasses will replace your guide dog and your cane, which we don't like to entertain, David, because
it's it doesn't make sense.
American words, it doesn't make sense. It's American thing really more than anything, but we still like to hear what these companies have to offer. So this company was called Lumen, the Lumen glasses, and they claim to have the same technology as self-driving cars. So they have six cameras which can detect the different types of surfaces under your feet and whether it steps down or steps up. And as you walk, it'll give you a vibration on your left side or haptic feedback on your left side, so you can take a left, and the same on your right-hand side if you take a right. And there's some AI intelligence built in as well to help you with your help you on your journey and get you to your destination safely. But as usual, I reckon battery will be an issue and all that kind of thing. But they do plan on releasing a version of these virtual reality smart glasses in the middle of this year. So that would be interesting to see how much they are, and it'll be also interesting to see how well they work and see if they live up to any of their probably outlandish claims.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I found it hard to take this one seriously because they had released a video before CES, like a promo video. And to visually impaired people, like there was apparently some brilliant graphics and stuff like that on screen and so on, but the video was completely inaccessible. There was no audio description to it, or there was no, like, there was a voice, but there was no continuous voiceover through it or anything. And it was very hard for me to take it seriously when I thought the first kind of information we're getting about this product isn't even accessible. Now, with that said, it's something I'm definitely open to trying, and I think like stuff like this, sure, I'm open to being wrong, but it didn't give me the best like first impression, this one, because they made a lot of outlandish claims and they didn't back that up with even accessible promotional material, which concerned me a bit, frankly.
Yeah, I've yet to see a headset that I like wearing, you know what I mean? I find a lot of them clunky, heavy on the head. The Vision Pro has probably boosted the popularity of making headsets now as well, you know, so it might bring it back more into the norm. But with a lot of technology in it, it'll be hard to see how they can make it very light as well. So it'll take them a lot to persuade me to wear a headset, put it that way. But a wearable device, yeah, maybe, but a headset, I'm not so sure. I'd have to really, really get a lot from that before I'd wear one, put it that way.
Yeah, but take a look. It depends on the ergonomics, I think, for me. If it looked, and I know this is such a stupid thing to care about, but if it looked if it looked acceptable and felt comfortable, then I think I'd be more comfortable with it. But like, let's be real, I'm not going to go out in public now with like a virtual reality headset because it's just not socially acceptable yet. And maybe
no, I don't think so, David. It doesn't look great. I'm not saying it looks anyway Star Trek-ish or anything like that, but they can look very heavy, clunky, a bit out there. You want still vision impaired and blind people still want to blend in. They don't want to stand out, put it that way, just walking down the street. You don't mind standing out if you're trying to stand out, but not because of what you're wearing to make your life easier.
Like, I think a cane or a guide dog, I think you're going to stand out to an extent, but I think that's socially acceptable. And I don't think we've gotten to the point where something like some big, chunky technology thing is quite that recognizable or is quite that acceptable yet. Maybe that will change in the future, but I don't think we're there yet. But I'm interested to see what comes from Lumen, but I'm taking it with a serious pinch of salt, that one.
Yeah, I suppose I like the fact that they're trying to use all these technologies that are in self-driving cars and robot vacuums and all this kind of stuff, because I don't think it'll always just end up being a headset. I think it could be another wearable device, whether you wear it around your chest, or it could be some sort of a necklace or a wristband or something. I think there's other ways of making these things work, but I don't just think they're not exactly there yet. But it's good to see them researching the field.
Yeah, and I think absolutely it is good to see them researching the field. The more people that are doing these kind of things with the right intentions and experimenting with it, it can only be a good thing, really, can't it?
Oh, big time, David. I think it's great to see that research out there, and apparently this company look like they have a lot of money behind them. So let's wait and see. Hopefully, we'll get our hands on it sometime and be able to demonstrate, or even get to interview somebody from that company.
Absolutely. I think, are those the main bits, Joe? Was there any other really cool bits?
There was, I suppose, there was one other one. It was like a mini computer that you can wear in your ears. They're from a company called Braggs. They were a company from Holland. They made they called it a mini computer in your ear, so a concerto style headset that you wear, and has 6 different directional speakers inside your ear, and it also had a microphone, so you could ask it questions and use OpenAI while you're using it. You could send your emails through it, ask OpenAI to do other things, order a taxi, and usual list that came from CES this year. So a lot of different automated stuff. It's a high-end product, they describe it as. But there's no screen again. That's why I was interested. And it done a lot of the same stuff that you can do with your computer, but just in a headset. And it did retail at €1,600, so it's out of my price range for now. But
pricey, yeah.
I can see down the line, I can see things like this. The trends were there at CES, and I can see wearable items like this becoming the norm in a couple of years' time. So I just thought that was another interesting one. Braggs, B-R-E-G-Z, or it was a B-R-E-G-G-Z, and that was the name of the company. And it was an in-ear computer, they called it. So I just thought that kind of thing is where it's at the moment. And they won't be coming to the market very soon, but or maybe not to our market here in Ireland, but I can see things going that direction down the line, Dave. Do you know what I mean?
So can I. I've always kind of wanted like things like, you know, AirPods to integrate technology like this. Like I've always wished, you know, something like the AirPods could run apps that are sound-based independently. Like there are things like, if you look at like Soundscape Community, right, or like, you know, different fitness apps, different music apps like Spotify, Apple Music, their primary function is sound. But yeah, I would love to see stuff like that actually just run independently, really. You know, like you're constantly, like you're wearing AirPods, you need your phone connected. This, I think, could be the first step in moving away from that. But at a €1,600 price range, I'm sorry, it's not appealing. But maybe who knows what the future brings? Do you know what I mean? So really interesting tech, though.
Yeah, they did claim it was high end, in fairness to them. But they also said you can do things with your head on it, like when you turn your head left, you can move to the next track, and turn your head right to rewind, and do it twice to answer a call. That's that cool. Kind of stuff. So it's very usable, I think, if you're vision impaired. You know, that struck a chord with me as well. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, there are a lot of those kind of features on, say, stuff like AirPods already. Like if you can do, say, the double pinch, I think it is, to next track, and triple pinch to go back, or you can do stuff like that. But this goes back in a sense to what we were saying about the toothbrush, that's all well and good if that's something you can do. For some people, a turn of the head might be a more accessible gesture for them to make. So I think that's, a really great potential in that concept in particular. And this might be the start of the high-end version of that. An interesting one for sure, Joe.
Yeah, I think that was about the size of it, David. My highlights of CES. I really love that show because sometimes you see a product at CES and then a year later you'd see, oh, that was at CES. That's where all the good stuff is coming from. Must keep an eye on that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. If there was one bit of kit, Joe, that you think that you would buy from the event, what would it be, do you think?
This is probably a boring one to you. It's probably just the Clicks. I'd go for the Clicks keyboard. I like the Rabbit, but I think the jury is out. I'm not sure if I want a device just to automate everything right now. I think I'm happy having an iPhone in my pocket and maybe not having a companion device. But the Clicks keyboard, I'd love to try that out. It would save me carrying around another keyboard in my work bag or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll clamshell onto my phone and I'll be able to pull it down when I need it, and I just think it's really handy.
I'm really, really tempted by the Rabbit, I must say. Like, now it's as much, I think, curiosity as much as it's practicality for me. I do think it would be an interesting bit of kit to play around with, though, and just see how it evolves. And then if it flops, if the Rabbit flops, there's so many puns here. If the Rabbit flops, I mean, like, at least I have one, and it's almost like a collector's item of just this weird period of AI tech. Do you know what I mean? So
you can trade in the Rabbit you purchased, David, for the real Rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to send this lad back. I know we'll give this to like Chris White or someone who can take the Rabbit home. But
we can raffle it off, maybe.
Yeah, we can raffle it off as a prize at the Christmas party. See who wants a rabbit. All right. Joe, thank you so much for going through all of the CES stuff. Really cool stuff. And one of these things, who knows what the future brings. It's always great to see like just the latest and greatest when it comes to tech like this. So thanks for sharing it, Joe. And if you saw something that you want to share from CES, would you buy a Rabbit? Would you be more of a fan of that Clicks keyboard, which is also a really, really cool product? Tell us what you're interested in. You can send us an email to content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. And we would really, really love to hear from you. There's so much cool stuff out there. And, we can't be aware of everything. We can't cover absolutely everything. But if you share information that you have with us that you think, wow, that's really cool, or that was really accessible, we would absolutely love to hear from it. Joining us now on Talking Technology, we're going to move on to our next topic for the day, which is, of course, a massive event absolutely every year, and that is the BT Young Scientist exhibition. It took place in the RDS just a handful of weeks ago. And there was some really cool stuff at the event, as there always is. It's almost, in some ways, it's kind of like Ireland's CES, but for students. And there's something really wonderful about that, like student creativity and stuff. But someone who was at the event this year is the one and only Mr. JP Corcoran. Hi, JP. How are we?
Hello, David. How are you?
Not too bad, JP. Tell me, how was the BT Young Scientist exhibition?
It was fantastic, David. I went on the Friday before it finished. So, as you pointed out, it is a massive exhibition. Extremely popular for schools to enter this competition every year. It takes place in, as you pointed out, in Dublin's iconic RDS. This year, the competition ran over 5 days, from the 9th to the 13th of January. And it was, in fact, the 60th edition of the exhibition since it started. It was my first time attending, David. And what struck me as soon as I walked in the doors was the scale of this event. So we have 550 projects, 220 schools, and then over the course of the 5 days, there's 40,000 students and visitors who are attending this.
Wow.
And are presenting. It is massive. So you go in, the first thing that you'll be struck by is the noise level. You can you can barely hear anything because there's people going around, walking around their exhibitions, looking at these fantastic development initiatives that they've coming up with. And that's one thing that struck me is all the ideas. I mean, you could be there the 5 days. You might hardly get a chance to see every one of these projects. Just as well as a couple of interesting points as well around the background to this exhibition. I'd say it's been running 60 years, but it also includes some very kind of well-known projects and winners. So I'll give you an example of one of the past winners that people may have come across before. There's two brothers called John and Patrick Costigan, and they came up with the online payment service Stripe. There's obviously a lot of companies using that now. They won the competition in 2005, and now they're multi-millionaires. So people have gone very far.
Yeah,
exactly.
I never actually knew until this very moment. Yeah. I never knew that they won the Young Scientist. That's really cool.
They did, in 2005. Yeah. This year, though, as you pointed out, we went specifically to look at a project from a young vision impaired student called Nathan. So Nathan is from Salesian College in Kildare, or Salesian College in Kildare, I should say. And he is 16 years of age, and he came up with a device called a Nathan 14. And it's been designed specifically for students who have vision impairment in the classroom to assist them. And what it comprises of is a tablet that's running Android 12. So it's a 14-inch tablet, hence the name Nathan 14. And it is running Android 12, as I mentioned, giving access to your Google Play Store apps. And I know we're going to be playing a recording of our interview with Nathan on the day. I think what will come across when we hear this is just his drive, his enthusiasm, and his resilience as well. He's came up with a few little obstacles when he was designing this, but he's kind of worked through it all. And it's a really exciting project, and we're delighted to have that kind of bit of recognition for Nathan as well on the show today.
Absolutely. Well, let's listen to Nathan's piece now. And as you were saying, JP, Nathan's project was the Nathan 14, a really, really cool concept. And inspired by, I guess, what's out there in a sense, but trying to make improvements to that. And we really do need people like Nathan to come up with ideas and be creative when it comes to things like assistive technology. It makes a big difference. So here is the interview that JP very kindly conducted with Nathan at the BT Young Scientist just a few short weeks ago.
I am here at the BT 2024 Young Scientist and Technology Exhibition in Dublin's RDS, and delighted to be meeting now Nathan Proudfoot, who has come up with a very innovative and exciting piece of technology called the Nathan 14. So Nathan, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Pleasure to be here at this interview. I really appreciate it. My name is Nathan Proudfoot. I'm from Salesian College, and I'm here at the BT Young Scientist 2024 with my device, which I believe will help people with not only visual impairments but many other disabilities.
Nathan, could you tell me about the product that you've designed and developed, please?
Absolutely, I'd love to. The product I've designed currently exceeds any other device on the market. The features outweigh many other devices, such as it has a 14-inch tablet, it has hot swappable USB ports in a USB hub, it has a capacitive touch light bar. This all connects through a simple small cable which isn't awkward and can easily be replaced if something happens. It also has many software features built in. It has Android 12 with over 128 gigabytes of storage. I've designed my own calculator app for it, which includes integrated formulas from the official SEC's formula and log tables book. This will help students in exam situations in order to simplify the process of completing these exams, so they will not need to use an external hard copy book or an external calculator. Everything is simply built into the device, ready to use at all times.
Fantastic. Nathan, could you tell us about the journey in creating the Nathan 14? So what was the inspiration behind developing this device? I'd be very interested to hear.
Absolutely, I'd love to. So the inspiration behind this device was that I've suffered for many years using devices that were simply inadequate for the use with people with visual impairments. They had many lackluster features and bad build quality. I had gotten several repairs needed to be done on new devices because of these issues. They've had obvious design flaws and lack of features that really will help. I've spent the last 3 years hard work in designing this device to be optimal for the best experience that a visually impaired child could have within the classroom or at home.
Excellent. You mentioned, Nathan, that the device is running Android 12. Could you tell us about some of the apps that students might be able to access on the Nathan 14, please?
No problem at all. The students that would use this device could use any app whatsoever on it, as it has access to Google services such as the Google Play Store. But the included apps would be a USB camera app, which would connect to the distance camera to allow users to see around the classroom, which the distance camera is actually up higher, so students can sit anywhere around the classroom as opposed to just at the front. There's also an app which is a scientific calculator, which I designed and coded. This is unique to any other calculator in the world, whether it be hardware or software, whereas it has many scientific functions, but also includes integrated formulas from the SEC's official formula and log tables book, which will help students within exams.
Excellent. You mentioned the distance camera. Could you tell us a bit about what type of camera that you're using with the Nathan 14 and what it can offer the students?
Brilliant, thank you. The distance camera on this is actually mounted higher, so students don't need to sit anywhere in the classroom. They don't need to sit at the front, they can sit at the back or in the middle, anywhere at all. The distance camera itself is 4K with a 20x optical zoom lens, so there won't be a resolution drop. It also connects simply through via the USB hub, so there'll be no hassle for anybody. It connects simply through the app on the device, meaning users can easily access it and aid its use. It's obviously used for students in a classroom or home environment, which this will be used to be engaged in classroom activities. This will be used to see the whiteboard for the teacher, or even view facial expressions or during classroom games.
Excellent. There might be students listening in, or parents of students listening in, saying, well, you know, we use this particular device at the moment, but what would be, in your opinion, the main advantages of using the Nathan 14 over these other types of such devices on the market?
In short, the main advantages would be that it's larger screen, which is 14 inches as opposed to 10, 11, 12, etc. The 4K camera, the USB hub and the capacitive touch sensor. I think those are some of the most important innovations throughout this device.
Fantastic. And future plans for the Nathan 14?
The future plans are to make the camera actually telescopic, so that it can retract and expand out to different heights to suit different students' needs, and a few different designs with different software, and just a few other polishing up and some features to make it as perfection as possible, to make the best experience possible for the end user.
Excellent. Well, Nathan, it's been fantastic hearing about your journey towards developing the Nathan 14, and I wish you very best of luck in the BT Young Scientist Exhibition this year and with your project. So thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And that is really, really cool. You gotta hand it to Nathan JP. Really, you do, don't you?
Yeah,
it's really
credit to him. And you know what? I didn't ask him during that interview, but I did ask him afterwards: was how is he funding his project? Because obviously he's going to be cost for materials and so forth, and he's funding it all through money taken in from birthday presents, from his communion money, everything like that. Dave, wow. It's all self-funded. He's just so passionate about this, and I'd love to see where it goes.
That is
fantastic,
isn't it?
Isn't it impressive?
That is really, really cool. And it's just brilliant to see that, the end users of products are like finding solutions to make the products that they're using better. Because that's what makes the difference, isn't it? That you have you find a flaw in something and you're like, I can do that better. Yeah. And that's what he's doing, and it's brilliant.
That's essentially what he's doing. And he's been using these, this was some of the existing cameras, digital displays, magnifiers that are available in the market. He's saying, how can I make this better? How can I make the camera better? How can I design my own calculator app, which is what he's done to make it more accessible.
That's really great, isn't it? That calculator.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Like, he needs to just release that thing, because I remember even, I'm not that long out of school in the scheme of things. And I remember dealing with those log tables. And oh my God, they're such a pain, because they're all just lines and small print and trying to move across. So,
Yeah.
they can be awkward. So that's a really, really cool feature for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't the only interesting exhibition on the show. Now, it was one of my favorites that I did see when I was there. There were some other science projects that were quite interesting around the area of sight loss. I wasn't speaking with this particular student, but there was a student from Comera College in Tipperary, and they came up with a device called WaveView, helping people see through sound. And this is designed to help.
Branding, by the way,
isn't it good? Yeah. It is good. WaveView helping people to see through sound, and this product is designed to help visually impaired people to navigate their surroundings with more confidence. The device is made to be put more on your head and uses this technology echolocation, similar to what bats use to alert users of any obstacles that might be in their path. So they've actually even created a prototype device using a 3D printer for this, and they've programmed it with their own coding. So that's another kind of project that would be interesting to find out more about in the coming weeks. So like it's just fantastic to come across these ideas though, David, and just to hear not just about their actual products and ideas, but just the journey into creating them, how they have actually gotten to the design stage and what their future plans are to make them, I suppose, to make them available and put them on the market to help others.
And also, it's brilliant to see these students putting accessibility on a national platform like that. That story you covered about that young gentleman in Tipperary, that was covered on Tipperary Live as well. And like it's just brilliant to see like products like that getting news coverage in the media, because that puts awareness out there, and there's huge value in that too, that it does. Students can do really cool stuff. There is tech out there to do this stuff, which is great.
For sure. Sometimes it's hard to believe some of these students are only 15, 16 years of age and they're doing all of this.
Yeah, what was I doing at 15? My God.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to think about what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was developing these products.
Would you go again next year, JP?
I would. Yeah, I would. And I'd recommend others to go to it. Again, just going back to what I was saying earlier, it's a scale of this event. It's just not what you'd expect when you walk in through the doors. You could be there the entire 5 days and barely get a chance to see everything. And of course, as you're walking through the different stalls, students they really invite you to come over and discuss their projects. Like we had the day we were there, the Taoiseach was there. I know Michael D. Higgins opened up the event. RTE News were there taking videos, recording videos, and doing interviews with some of the students. It's a hive activity.
That's
very
really
much
cool.
recommended. Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. And who knows? Maybe someday we will get to. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll do a live podcast from the Young Scientist.
Yeah, a good idea.
You're like, the budget isn't there for that. We'll have to judge that at some stage. That's awesome. But really cool. And thank you for getting that interview as well, JP. Awesome stuff.
My pleasure.
I'll let JP get ready for tech news in a bit. But if you have ever gone to the Young Scientist and want to share your opinion, or maybe you had created a really cool project back in the day for the Young Scientist, or maybe you want to share a project that you're working on now, we'd love to hear from you. content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. It's awesome to see just some of the really creative ideas that are out there. And who knows, we might see some of these products on the market in the future. And you've got to, regardless, give these students massive credit for all of the work and effort that they're putting into this stuff, because it does make such a difference, because it might not be one of these ideas that, does make it to market, but these concepts do inspire future products. So it's brilliant to see, and credit to absolutely everyone involved. But now, well, it's tech news time.
This is Talking Technology News.
With your latest Talking Technology News, I am JP Corcoran. The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster has been released for PlayStation 5 devices, and it's got a number of really innovative accessibility features built in for blind and visually impaired gamers. The game has a screen reader, screen magnification, color adjustment options, and all the usual bits. But it's also got cinematic descriptions, traversal, and combat cues, with combat cues available in both audio and vibration form. The game even has vibration cues for your in-game guitar. One of the really cool features is a speech-to-vibration feature, which the developers say lets you feel how a line is said. This sounds like it might help deaf-blind players. The game is available for PS5 devices now, but note that it is not suitable for younger audiences. The Game Accessibility Awards are also taking place tomorrow, Wednesday 24th, at 5 p.m. Irish time, so it's cool to see accessibility being taken seriously in games. The event will be streamed on the YouTube channel of blind gamer Steve Saylor, and you can find out his channel by searching his name on YouTube. In other news, Be My AI is now available on Blind Shell. The feature has been added in a recent update to the Blind Shell app, and users can update it now. Be My AI provides detailed image descriptions, allowing users to get an idea of their surroundings or read written material. The feature, working on the Blind Shell, is a move that will definitely be popular for those who prefer the button phone experience. Google Lookout is also available on Blind Shell, so fans of the phone now have two really strong options for accessing visual info. That's not the only Be My AI news this week, though, as Unilever have partnered with the app to provide cooking instructions. If you buy Coleman Singapore noodles in the UK, you can scan an accessibility QR code on the box to bring it to a special section in the Be My Eyes app, where the AI can help you make your noodles. Unilever's Senior Digital Engagement and Strategy Lead for Nutrition and Ice Cream said, "We've accelerated digitizing our packs to offer new opportunities for brand engagement and elevated shopping experience, and now we're also focusing on how we can also use digital experiences to make our products more accessible." We'll need to wait and see if the accessible noodles make it to Ireland, but it's cool to see projects like this in the food space. That's it for now, but for more news like this, head over to vi.ie and sign up for the Tech on Tap newsletter. We'll have a new edition in your inbox every single Friday. With that, it's back to you, David.
Thanks, JP. Really interesting one there with those accessible noodles. I love as well your one's job title. What was it?
I love that. I couldn't believe that's a kind of double take on that one. So this is a Senior Digital Engagement and Strategy Lead for Nutrition and Ice Cream.
That's a title. If you're going to get, I want to, in future, JP, if you're ever renewing my contract, I want to be the digital content producer for technology content and ice cream. I want that title. I love it.
There have to be some perks to that job.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's a gas title. How do you feel there about those accessible games? And we see that with The Last of Us Part 2. Really cool stuff there.
I think it's really cool. I think it's great to see these games become more accessible with these new features. And I have to say, to give credit to the developers, is it Naughty? I believe it's Naughty Dog, isn't it? Who developed?
Yes, that's correct.
For Last of Us Remaster. And I think what they'll hopefully do is set a standard to other game developers. Say, look what we're doing. Can you match this? Can you make your games as inclusive as this one? I don't play Last of Us. I have looked at graphics from it, looked at reviews, and it's a fantastic game. So the fact that it's now available to everyone, for those who have a sight impairment, I think it's great. Credit to developers.
It's very good. Peter Claridge Bowler, another VI staff member, he plays The Last of Us. He said it's a great game and it is accessible and he enjoys the storyline. But the PlayStation itself, it has a very accessible screen reader, even to access some of the other apps on it that will turn it into a media device for your house. And I know it's Xbox as well. They have an excellent screen reader on it also, and it brought out a motorsport game which has become very popular, Forza Motorsport.
Forza, yeah.
But it's become very popular with the vision impaired community that play Xbox as well, because I think the same developer of The Last of Us has some input into the Forza Motorsport, and it's great to see things go in that direction. I'm looking forward to giving one of those games a try soon myself.
Yeah, and it does make such a difference to see like games like trying to like increase accessibility. Like we talked, I think, previously on the show as well about Just Dance and some of the work that they had done around accessibility. And it's brilliant to see that the industry is actually starting to catch up, because I think there had been time there for quite a while where there had almost been an acceptance that, oh, these AAA games can't be made accessible. And that had almost become, a fact. But I think companies like Naughty Dog, to their credit, have proven that to be untrue and proven that you can do it with a little bit of innovation. And by the way, that new script only covers the features for people who are visually impaired. There are features for those who are hard of hearing. There are features for those who have mobility issues. There's all sorts of really cool features. So really cool stuff. And those Game Awards as well. Do you plan to watch those, Joe, tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, I'll definitely follow the report on it. If I don't get to watch it, I'll definitely be interested to see who has won something. And you know yourself, if somebody has won an award for an accessible game, it'll definitely be worth looking at and giving it a try.
Absolutely. I did see, actually, on a slightly separate note, I did see that the Audio Games Hub was updated this week for the first time in 5 years. I remember playing the Audio Games Hub going back quite a while ago, but the Audio Games Hub was a partnership between a company called Sonar Interactive and Blind Foundation New Zealand. But it received an update this week for the first time in 5 years. The branding for Sonar Interactive and Blind Foundation New Zealand seems to have been removed. And it seems like primarily just bug fixes. There's no new games or anything. But it did receive an update on the App Store this week, which is really interesting after so long of nothing, which, really cool. So who knows? Maybe that is back under development now. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, awesome gaming stuff. Good to have a bit of fun as well. But let's move on to Quick Picks, shall we?
It's time for VI Labs Quick Picks.
And Joe, we are talking about all things calculators this week.
Yes, David. Tell us about the Talking Calculator app.
Well, the Talking Calculator app, Joe, is you would think that, oh, why would you use a talking calculator when you could have VoiceOver read stuff to you or whatever, right? The Talking Calculator app, I guess, is for those who are kind of at an in-between level where they don't necessarily need to use full VoiceOver, but they would prefer to just open an app and have the calculator speak to them. It uses human speech, and you can also get variants for scientific calculators and so on. So if you're in like secondary school or in college and you need a scientific calculator or just a regular calculator that talks, it's a really cool option. But there's one feature in this calculator, Joe, that I absolutely love, right? And that is the fact that you can make this calculator speak with your own voice, right?
Wow.
Yes. So this takes quite a while. So the way it works is you have to record all of the numbers. So you have to record 1 through to 10, and then you have to do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And you keep going, and then you do 100 and 1,000 or whatever. But you don't have to record every number up to 1,000,000. It automatically stitches the voice recordings together. So, for example, right, let's do a sum on this calculator, right? I've done a sum. So this is kind of what it sounds like. And yes, of course, I've given it my own voice, because why not? You don't have to do that. It does come with a voice, obviously. But
David, I want a calculator with your voice. Don't worry.
Want to calculate? Yeah, we'd have to release that as an in-app purchase. My voice on a calculator, and all funds go to Vision Ireland. If the developers want to reach out to us, it could be a fun collaboration, but who knows? But this is what it sounds like to do a calculation on this talking calculator app.
1, 2, 0, 0, plus 7, 8, multiply 7 equals 8,946.
I love it. It's just like, it's so simple. It sounds so robotic, but there's something wonderful and fun about it, if you know what I mean.
The way it says 46 at the end. Yeah, very good.
46. Yeah. It's gas. And it's look, we can joke about it, but it is a really useful tool. It also, something that it doesn't have, that the regular calculator app doesn't have, but this one does, is it has a high contrast mode. So you can toggle contrast and adjust colors to stuff that is easier for you to see. It obviously talks, and there are all different variants, and it does work across the iPad as well, if that's what you want. So there's a scientific one.
And an iPad, that's good to have a bigger calculator on the iPad. And David, how much is it, free or paid?
It is paid. The app, just the standard talking calculator, Joe, is €2. It's $1.99. So there is also, if you wanted something slightly more advanced, there is also scientific calculators and a statistics calculator, all of which have the same kind of core set of features, if you will. You can run them on an iPhone or an iPad, which, by the way, does not, I believe, have its own calculator app even now. But it's a really cool little app that if your dream has always been to be the voice of a talking calculator, now you can make that dream a reality, and there's something beautiful about that, Joe.
Well, there you go. Your dream has come true, David.
It absolutely has. Do you ever want to be a voice of a calculator, Joe?
No, I'm going to download the app and get you to be the voice on it, David. That's what I want.
Fair enough. We'll make that a deal. So,
don't charge me, please.
Yeah, no, I won't. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's one of these things, isn't it? That, like, I've always wondered, like, would it be interesting to be the voice of a screen reader? Imagine being the voice of a screen reader, Joe.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Or the voice of something that you could just play like a document and just have your voice read it out loud. It's coming, David. It's coming.
It is absolutely coming. Would you take the money for someone to have your voice, like, as a downloadable option in, like, JAWS or something?
Well, of course I take the money, David. Yeah, of course I would. Well, look, if people wanted that, go ahead. I'll be the voice for your screen reader, no problem. But yeah, I think it's a good idea, though. In all seriousness, because some people just love certain voices, and if they wanted, Sean Connery to be their voice of the screen reader, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think it's also like one of these things that some people who may have hearing impairments, certain frequencies and voices are easier to hear.
That's true.
So, there are advantages to stuff, and it's fun to make jokes. Oh, Joe Lonigan for Windows is ready and stuff like that, or David Redman for Windows is ready. That can be fun, but I think there is a serious side to it where you can, like, for people who might struggle to hear synthetic speech, there might be advantages to human speech, and there's a lot of benefits in that for sure.
You're still going to have the community that love eloquence, JAWS eloquence voice, no matter what lovely voices are out there, they'll still go back to eloquence. But that's all good, because eloquence, at the end of the day, eloquence reads out words and pronounces words, probably the best of any.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I don't know whether it can do Irish particularly well even now, but it's still hugely popular. We saw that even when it came to iOS, that there were some people who were really excited to see that, and it's cool to see. I'm still with Maura myself. I'm still a big fan of Maura, but there are some Eloquence diehard fans out there, and fair play, really cool.
Brilliant, thanks, David.
Fantastic. Joe, thanks so much for going through calculator stuff with me. And that is about our lot for this episode of Talking Technology. Our next one is episode 50. So we'll have to get the party started for episode 50. And we are looking at some really cool, exciting announcements, and we'll hopefully be able to share them with you in the next episode. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe on the podcast apps, on the YouTube channel. Just search VI Labs Accessibility over on YouTube. And we would absolutely love to hear from you if you want to get in touch. content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. And who knows, maybe you can join the celebrations in our 50th episode. But for now, that is it for this week on Talking Technology. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And for now, stay safe, stay in out of the weather, and enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.